Hello and welcome everybody to the Lane 4 webinar all around Team 4. We're going to spend the next 30 minutes discussing Team 4 and the new product, which we are all really excited about here at Lane 4. We encourage you to ask as many questions as possible, which we'll be monitoring throughout the next 30 minutes. So please do sit back and enjoy yourself. So my name is Monica Relf. I am a product consultant for Team 4, and I'm joined with my colleague Alexandra Hertelendi, and we're going to be discussing Team 4, bringing it to life, and sharing all the information about this new product. I hope everyone's had a great start to the day. Luckily for me, my colleague brought in a nice big plate of watermelon, so it was a lovely way to start a sunny day here from our offices in Maidenhead. Alexandra, I'll hand over to you to allow yourself to introduce yourself.
Hello and welcome everyone, and thank you so much for taking the time at your lunch break to join us. And I'm really excited to share with you the result of the 9 months of development that we spent here in Lane 4, bringing an idea, a concept to life of Team 4, which is our latest digital learning product. I'm the product lead for Team 4 here at Lane 4, and what I'm responsible for is bringing a concept to market. And we'll be sharing with you some of the background that led us to developing this product today.
Great. So my role on today's webinar is to really help people understand why, how, and when Team 4 might work within the organisation. And these are our objectives for the day. So we really want to share our approach to why high-performing teams is critical for your organisation's success. We're going to have a brief look at the science behind Team 4 and help share how the science has basically helped the product to evolve into a digital toolkit. And we're also going to help you guys understand how Team 4 might help within your organisation. So let's kick off, and we'll talk about the why now. So Alex, why did we develop Team 4? What was the need for it?
So there's multiple strands of research that we have conducted before launching this product. But I think the most prevailing trend, which I'm sure our listeners will agree with, is the fact that we are living in an ever-increasing pace of work where we need to move very quickly. We need to respond to the demands of our customers in a timely manner in order to stay relevant in the marketplace. And in order to do so, individual star players aren't a solution anymore in an organization. To be able to move at the pace required, there's teams that need to be the star players. And Ernst & Young research actually confirmed it, that 9 out of 10 executives do agree that the problems that we are facing are so complex that it requires a whole team to provide a solution for organization. So that's the main reason why we thought that launching a digital solution to help team leaders is absolutely the timely manner. What we've seen, though, through our research that we've conducted is that teams do not get as much resources and as much budget dedicated for their development as individual leaders do due to many restraints. And that typically leads to challenges that I'm sure you can talk about in detail.
Yeah, and I think building upon that, it's interesting to hear you say, teams are required nowadays to face the challenges and to be successful for the future of organisational success effectively. And it's not just teams, but it's also diverse teams. So I think that's one of the things we're hearing more and more from the organisations that we work with, is that there's often inconsistent team development, as Alex has touched on, but there's often inconsistent leadership development. So, just because you've been promoted and you now look after a team doesn't necessarily mean you've also been supported with the skills to be a fantastic manager. And we hear that time and time again. You can be a fantastic individual contributor. You work your way up an organisation, but might not necessarily have those right skills to support and lead a diverse or ever increasingly diverse team. So that's one point. The second point is again to that point around managerial skills. I think due to the nature of organisations nowadays, we see different people in these roles. And again, I think it's that consistency across those roles and really being able to have those have those fantastic managerial skills, which you know, let's face it, not all managers have. And we know that research suggests that the biggest reason for someone leaving an organisation is because they don't have the right support from their line manager, right? So, and then the third and final thing, which I think I hear time and time again, is just this undenying fact that everybody is so busy. We live in a world where diaries are such a challenge, and people cannot commit the time, even if they wanted to development. And I think that's the biggest thing we hear, even now when we work with organisations to create these fantastic leadership development programs. We're always asking, that clients are always asking us how we can fit in more in less time. So I think they're some of the big things that myself and my team are hearing now. I don't know if you can build on that at all.
Yes, and this all came up when we've done the customer needs analysis before launching this product. There were two more things that was coming up. One was the increasing virtual teams, where if someone was an absolutely capable manager, when they had the privilege to sit together with their team, they might find it challenging to work with others who are not co-located with them, and in some cases are in a completely different time zone that them. So that's absolutely one of the challenges these days. That we are seeing. And last but not least, also what came out quite prevalently, that even if there is some sort of team development in organization, usually what happens is individual leaders get the team development, and then they aren't helped in the context of their teams as to, how do I do this?
How do I spread that out down to my direct reports?
Exactly. So these are the things that came up in the research. So what we've decided to do about it was to take our high-performing teams model, which we've developed 20-odd years ago and have relaunched last year. So some of you might have joined our webinars last year, which was focusing on high-performing teams. So Team 4 takes the science and the research behind our high-performing teams model, which we have used for many years with really good results with our clients in a face-to-face environment. And what we thought was, how could we make a tool that's available at the point in time a manager needs to be working with their teams, and how could we provide some learning that's personalized, that's suitable for the learner by using our high performing teams model. And that's how we've arrived at Team 4.
So just to confirm, so this is based on the Team 4 online tool is based on a kind of theory meets practice research approach that's been developed over 20 years. So tell us exactly what Team 4 is.
So Team 4 is and I'm looking at this, and I'm feeling so proud still about this product, and hopefully this feeling will continue. I think what we've managed to arrive at is a really cutting-edge product in the market, from the perspective of we are able to provide a 360 report for the team leader and the team. And in this 360 report, we are giving a very, very easy to understand, quite intuitive visual for the team leader as to what are the areas of strength and development that they need to focus on. And obviously, if we've just shown our high-performing teams model, it would be along the 5 areas of the high-performing teams model, and then we are breaking it down to the individual characteristics underneath it. So when a team leader starts working with Team 4, their journey starts with inviting their team members and a couple of the team stakeholders to fill out a diagnostic. And at the end of the process, they will get their results, and their report will be pinpointing them to the 3 specific areas of development that, if they would be focusing on, will deliver them the performance edge that would move their team from being effective to high performing. At the end of the report process, then they are able to access our Team 4 toolbox. Mm-hmm. And this Team 4 toolbox has bite-sized learning and also exercises that the team leader can run with their team. It is very, very easy to use, very, very intuitive, and everything that we've done in the tool is underpinned by our research. We've here in Lane 4, we do believe in giving people the performance edge and making people's working life better. So all our learning is underpinned by our research.
Okay, so let me see if I've got this. So a team comes along, a team leader comes along, they have maybe 10, say, direct reports. The team leader sends a diagnostic out to the entire team plus some external stakeholders. Everyone completes a diagnostic, and how long does that take to complete, would you say?
It's at the team leader's discretion as to, based on their experience, what's the deadline that they want to say. So we give the team leaders the opportunity to change the deadline.
Okay.
Typically, we would give them a 2-3 week window.
Okay, perfect.
To do the diagnostic.
Okay.
But the team leaders, knowing their environment and whether they can
choose it. So you could give your team a 1-week deadline to complete it, say, if you wanted to.
If they feel that's achievable.
And as a direct report, how long does it take me to complete that diagnostic?
It shouldn't take longer than 15-20 minutes.
Okay, perfect. So once everyone's complete and we've had the stakeholders complete the diagnostic too, the line manager gets a report where it says, okay, listen up, these are where your super strengths lie in your team and these are the areas of your development. And then they will get pinpointed to the areas in which they need to work on and develop. So it could be, okay, listen, your team is fantastic at Team Edge, but actually you need a bit of work around team process. So please follow this link here where it gives you helpful tips, tools, etc. around the team process and helps you support that.
That's correct. And what we've designed the learning so that if either of the team leaders aren't confident in changing their heads from being a team leader to being the team facilitator in this process, because at the end of the day, what we are asking them to do is to facilitate a conversation about how the team could get better at, as you were saying, team process, for example, how could they get better at communicating with each other. We provide in the using the toolbox session very, very handy tips for the team leaders when they can learn more about facilitation, where they can develop themselves and build skills that will be really valuable for them in the future.
Okay, that makes sense, and I can see that we've got some other questions coming in, which we'll come to at a later part of the webinar. But maybe we talk a little bit about the benefit that it has to the team leaders. And actually, I was with a client on Tuesday, and they were talking about using Team 4 as part of their approach to sustaining the learning that the line managers have gained through a management development program. So is that what you're hearing quite often, where we see, potentially a pool of people who may have gone through a management development program or a leadership development program, and as a way to embed and sustain the learning, they might use Team 4, because that's kind of what this client was suggesting, which we totally loved. And they were also saying actually what it really does is it really brings to life the social aspect of learning. So the kind of idea that most of your learning is done on the job, well, actually this is kind of a hybrid, a halfway house between going on a kind of, I suppose, personal development journey, as in something external, to making actually learning kind of every day. And really that leads me to think that actually this is a tool that could quite dramatically enhance or shift the culture of an organization. So really thinking about how it's a fantastic way to embed learning and create a culture of consistent and constant learning.
Yes, and to build on what you were saying, what it also does is creates a way of how people can hold each other accountable. They will be using the same words, the same standards of what in terms of what good looks like. Mm-hmm. So we were talking about team process, and communication, and as an example, as one of the elements. What it would mean in an organization if multiple team leaders would be going through, then they would be able to talk to each other in terms of this is what good looks like in a team when it comes to communication, because very, very often we seem to be missing this definition of what does good look like at a team setting.
Yeah, I love that. And I think I was actually talking to a colleague of mine, Ross, yesterday, and we were talking about why we both loved Team 4. And I think it links actually back to this whole business aspect. And, you know, the beauty of having the diagnostic, both for the teams to share their thoughts and feelings around how things are going in the team, but also to have that external viewpoint, really does pinpoint the learning. So you're not doing a one-size-fits-all approach, although there is absolute consistency with the tool. If your team doesn't need to work on their you know, emotional edge, that they don't need to. They actually just work on what is needed. So for me, it's a really, really efficient use of time and efficient kind of, it directly pinpoints to the actual learning need.
Yes, and also that also then builds engagement, because people would be doing what they actually want to do.
Yeah.
That they feel like, yes, if we were to work on this, then it would make everyone's lives better.
And you can see it, right, because you can see the report.
Yeah.
So, and the report doesn't lie. If the team is showing consistently as poor communicating, that means that more than one of the team members feels that that's an issue. So I really like. And how many people can use the Team 4? Like how many? So if I manage a team of 10, does that work, or how many?
Yes. So it works for teams between size of 3 to 25.
Okay, great.
So that's the team sizes there.
Yeah. So that's that's an encompassing number, isn't it? Okay, great. So let's talk a little bit about the suite. So we've obviously got the Team 4 for line managers, for leaders, and I know that also that product has been developing other variations. But do you want to talk us through kind of maybe the suite of Team 4 that's available?
So what we've shown and what we've provided screenshots on this webinar today is the team leader version of Team 4. However, what we've recognized when developing the product and engaging with our clients is that depending on the company's structure, budget, size, and strategy, there might be different needs of delivering a Team 4 solution. So what is described here is the online tool for team leaders that allows them to do their interventions on their own. However, we recognize that some organizations might prefer, especially at executive level, to have some client or practitioners in the organization who have gone through an accreditation with us. They've learned everything about the Team 4 model, how it works, what makes a high-performing team, and we provide them with a similar but a client practitioner level toolbox that gives them a deeper understanding of how to work within tech teams. And last but not least, obviously, we are still supporting our lane practitioner and provider support. And there's been a question that I've spotted from from Rafał Markowski, who was asking how different is Team 4 360 from other similar 360 products. And while I don't know which are the similar 360 products you are referring to, the key of the Team 4 360 is the focus on high-performing teams. So in the 20 years of the research, what we've identified is what gives teams the competitive edge, what sets teams apart, and we are able to provide insight for the teams as to out of the 5 areas: leadership, edge, emotion, process. What are those things that they need to focus on in order to make the team from an effective team to a high-performing team? And what the key differentiator is, I think, is it's not based on individuals' preferences. So we are not talking about that one individual has got a preference. For example, they are introverted or extroverted. It's not looking at the team from a bunch of individuals' perspective. It's looking at the team from the perspective of you're a team, and how can you move together?
So it really looks at the dynamic across the team as opposed to individual. Okay, that's great. And the client practitioner, effectively, this is a train-the-trainer, right? This is a train-the-trainer approach. So although it might be quite popular, and we know that a lot of a lot of the organisations we work with at the moment are saying, okay, this would be great for some of our colleagues in the L&D teams and the HR teams. What we also know is that actually there's a big passion around leaders and senior leaders becoming accredited in this, because actually they see it as brilliant personal development for themselves. And really and truly, it's a fantastic tool to really move away from management to leadership, isn't it? And understand the nuances of your team, and understand the way. Obviously, facilitation skills are always going to be really beneficial. But a lot of our clients that we're working with at the moment really see it as a fantastic way to move towards having kind of really human conversations with their teams and having human connections with their teams beyond just the day-to-day operationalizing of their roles.
Human and adult, I think, is the key thing for me. Of this tool enables the leaders to keep the conversations adult to adult, and be vulnerable, but be accountable, and at the same time drive performance in the organization.
And great interaction on the chat at the moment, and it's really nice to hear. There's a lot of interest in Team 4, and hear some great feedback as well. So I suppose in summary, for me, what are the benefits, and what do we see are the benefits from for your organisation? So let's just start at the top. It's a common language. There's a consistency across your organisation for team development. And although there's that commonality and consistency, it's also individualized for your team. So you work on what your team needs to work on, which kind of points to the next mark around really providing a personalized learning for the team. And again, it's technology. The technology enables it to scale. So this can go from 1 to 20, 200 plus teams. So again, it's a really scalable product that you can use across the world. I also think there's a part around the data, isn't it? And we all love data. We all love to be able to track ROI. So I'm imagining and looking here at you, Alex, for confirmation that we can get some really great aggregate reporting, get great results, understand themes across teams, etc.
Absolutely. So yes, we do provide aggregate reporting for our customers. And just a first spark to my mind when you were talking about the common language for consistent team development. Something that we didn't mention earlier, but probably worth mentioning when it comes to proving the ROI of the products. The way we structure our licensing is it's very easy to, after the year license period, to continue with our licensing, and then there's a remeasure, so people can compare and contrast how the team has moved from one year to the other. But the other thing why I think this product can deliver more ROI is through more of the engagement with the learner, i.e. the leaders themselves. Because the way we've designed it is we've made sure that it is device agnostic and can be accessed on the go.
Okay.
Because what we know that team leaders rarely learn as in the office in front of their desk.
At the desk, yeah.
So it's available for them to use when they are on the way to a client or commuting, or just on a Saturday evening when the kids have finally gone to sleep and they've got the chance to think about the next week and what is it that they are going to do. So we absolutely make sure that it's as easy to use for the learner as possible, so that they could access the content as quickly as possible.
And on that point, Erin, I suppose we see it as a great tool for the line manager, say, for development. Are we seeing this as a great, I suppose, aspect to really sustain learning that an individual has gained through a leadership development program? Can it also be a standalone? And if it is a standalone, can Lane 4 support those line managers or leaders in an early kind of facilitation support or etc.? Do they have ongoing support?
So we are working on a solution where we would be able to provide so at the moment we only are offering Team 4 at the back of a previous Lane4 engagement with the organization. And what I mean by it is a previous leadership development program that we would be running, or a previous high-performing teams facilitation that Lane4 have delivered, just to make sure that everyone is familiar with the model itself, and it ties in with the HR strategy of the organization, so that it wouldn't be just yet another model in people's lives.
Yeah,
because
it's not. No one needs another initiative for initiative's sake, right?
Exactly. Okay. But what we are working on is a communications consulting package that we could be offering together with our digital solutions.
Okay, fantastic. And then I suppose we've talked about well, maybe to recap. So we talked about what Team 4 is. We talked about how it's been developed in terms of the science. I've seen a couple of questions come in around, what does the HPT model look like? So perhaps we'll follow up at a later date. We've got some great white papers we can share with you around that. We talked about where Team 4 might be used, and we talked about the difference between having a line manager version, so to speak, and a client practitioner version, and a trainer. And then, of course, we talked about how Lane4 can obviously come in and support with the Team 4 journey. I suppose from me, maybe I'll end in why I think this product is amazing, and I feel really passionate about it. I think, in today's world, everyone is so super busy, and I think if this tool allows line managers to feel comfortable that they have the right tools and tips that equip them to have these great conversations, for me, that's what it's all about. It's about supporting a line manager to have great conversations with their team, and ultimately a team to shift between good to great. So for me, that's why I love it, and I'm delighted to be talking to organizations about how it works in your organization, when it might work, and the nuances of that as well.
Yes, and I do believe that the way the diagnostic works, which I don't want to over-labor on the point, that utilizes our high-performing teams model, is going to deliver that cutting edge that the organizations need.
So I think to wrap it up now, I'd just say, if you're interested, get in touch, request a demo. We've got a great team available to support providing demos and really making sure that we can explain the tool in more detail. I can see some questions coming in around reporting and data and trends, etc. So we'll be really happy to answer those offline. I can see the time quickly ticking away now, so but make sure to get back to you. And just a big thank you to everyone who's joined, and we look forward to continuing this positive conversation with you offline.